honoured to be doing this. I'm sure I don't speak out of turn when I say each of the contributing poets, artists to this festival will have learned so much from Gomringer. He really had developed so much thinking around what we now know as the concrete poetry movement back in Switzerland in the early 50s through the journal Sprache and through the creation of his own work, Constellations, which I'm pleased to say we're going to hear some of tonight as well. This new way of making poetry, reducing the word to letters, the letters to particles, and engaging a reader or a viewer or a listener in a new way of co-creating the meaning of poetry really owes so much to Gomringer's work. And given that this is an exchange between, in this case, between UK and German poets, it's really significant that Gomringer played a part in that side of things as well. He was a publisher in the 1960s, publishing some UK work, including Edward Morgan, really wonderful publication called Starry Welt. So this kind of exchange really has its roots back in the concrete beginnings, if you like. And it's with this thinking that today's visual poets move forward. Ideas that Gomringer generated that poetry, concrete poetry can be a universal language. It can speak across languages and across borders. That concrete poetry can have a usefulness in the world in the same way as buildings can be useful, for example. All these things have become part of how we think of concrete poetry. He is a poet of great imagination, a great technical innovator, which has shown us all these new possibilities. His work has always been ahead of its time, and that's why it remains completely relevant today and will continue to be relevant in the future. And I honestly say there are few poets, writers, artists in the world who we can genuinely say have altered the course of the history of literature, and Gomringer is one of those, and that's why we know him as the father of concrete poetry. So please put your hands together for Eugen Gomringer.
I start at the beginning. Yeah. Just so, like this. Yeah. Well then. Thank you for your help. Damas y caballeros, ladies and gentlemen, meine sehr geehrten Damen, meine sehr geehrten Herren, concrete poetry was not first. Concrete art was first. When I saw once in Zurich, I saw once in 1944, I have seen some pictures, some concrete art pictures. They were very simple. There could be 5 lines in a good order in a picture. They made a picture. And I thought, I was a student at that time, and a young poet, and I thought, why could I write that with words, or something new with words to do with 5 lines in making a picture, or something like this. And then, well, I had many friends in concrete art, and I studied what concrete art is. And so by the time it lasted 10 years, I had to work for concrete, for a new poetry, for new finding words. And I think in the 53 I had some good friends like Dieter Roth, he is a well-known artist, and Marcel Wies. We became editor in Bern, editor of a magazine for art, and at the same time, in 1953, I published my first book. And this book was extremely different from all what happened at that time. That was just some years after war, after World War II. And this book was looking like this. You see, this is a book of 1953. It could be from our days, now. It's looking like very modern. So that was extremely interesting for many people, that young artists or young poets could write in such a book or make such a book. And what happened now, and I'm very happy today, that at that time I started with poems. I called them, as you heard already, I'm speaking of constellations of words. And I started at that time with this book, with a Spanish poem, with French poem, and wonderful also with English poems, and naturally some German poems too. You will see now, here in the picture, we see the visual poetry. At the same time, when I started, and I had many friends also in Austria and Vienna, at the same time, and at the same time too, it was a movement, a worldwide movement, also in São Paulo. Haroldo de Campos, Augusto de Campos, Pignatari, there were also three. They all were founders of this new poetry. But to say concrete poetry, this notion of concrete was taken over from concrete art, as I told you. 5 lines make a picture in art. And so I started at that time with 5 or 6 poems, constellations, as I call it, in this book, at the first book, and I think it was the first book of concrete poetry in general. People say so. So I was interested I saw the cars and the elevators, and I said, what can they do together? And I said, at this poem, cars and elevators, cars and men, elevators and elevators, elevators and men, men and cars and elevators, men and men. It's tedious, isn't it? Trains and trains, trains and men and elevators, trains and elevators, men and trains, men and men, cars and trains, cars and men trains, men and men, men and men. I ought to have something different today. No, I think we have cars and elevators, cars and elevators, men and men. But at the same time, I also find that if you write some words on a surface, you have a strange look that words are looking at you, and then you find the black mystery of writing is here, and you can write this sentence is like a sentence in a square form, so that you can say the black mystery is here. Is here the black mystery? Yes, the black mystery is here. Here is the black mystery. Nothing anywhere else. What happened there?
Yeah, the black mystery.
Later, no? I'll take it later.
No,
The black mystery is here.
Huh?
The black mystery is here.
Oh, thank you. And naturally you have just an idea of something little, shining a little bit in the sun, and you say, spring daisy. Daisy, spring. Spring, fly, fly spring, daisy fly, fly daisy, spring daisy fly. It's something to say nothing. Really to say nothing. No semantics. We hated semantics at that time. You can also say in English, you see, you blue, you red, you yellow, you black, you white, you. Small and yellow and finished disappears where slowly spreading large and green. But shining through achieves its figure, remains in mind, losing ground. And in the book, I'm always following the book that was written in 1953. Ping pong. Ping pong, ping pong, ping pong, ping pong. Try once. Enter, please. Enter a room. You don't know the auditory. You just enter, open the door, and you cry out, ping! You will see all the answer is pong. I know people, just in root classes or so. Well, this is the adventure of 53. I made many connections with English friends, with English poets. I went to Dover Street sometimes in London because it was a center of interest. And I had the honor in 2005 or 2006 to open the small fair books, the fair of small books. An interesting fair. I hope it will go on also now. And some years later I was invited by Professor Roger from the University of Derby for a, how was it called? For a celebratory tour. Gomringer in a celebratory tour in the United Kingdom. That was the title, so more or less like this. That was a great honor to me and to my wife too. And I started in London, and then it went on to different places. Went to the University of Derby, naturally, to Montfort University in Leicester, and the Scottish Poetry Library, and so on in Edinburgh. Well, it was a great honor. That was in 2011, some years ago now, 9 years ago. And now I want to, have you seen the pictures?
Silencio. Here. Das ist hier vorne. Hier. Silencio.
Uh-huh. But very small.
No.
A big, good, and so much better. What happens now with concrete poetry? I think this notion that the begriff of concrete is a very old notion through all the centuries and so on. What is concrete today? This is a question for a poet, for a kind of poets, to make something with concrete, to make it concrete, with the help of concrete, with the help of reality. Anyway, my next book will be Poesia Fundamentale. Poesia fundamental. I think this, I looking back to the words, I don't found out new words. I don't create new words. No, that's senseless. But I wanted to remember the words I know, many people know too. I wanted to remember the fundamental position of some words. This, I'm collecting ideas for fundamentality of words going over the border, over the limits, in architecture, in painting, music. What is fundamental today? And because I think we have no idea of fundamental ideas today. De digitale Arbeit macht eigentlich alles gleich und das ist auch langweilig. Man hat mir vorgeworfen, ich sei langweilig. Die haben nicht die Idee, dass ich langweilig bin. Das glaube ich nicht. Aber ich finde, die digitale Arbeit hat alles so gleichmäßig gemacht. Das ist ungefähr das, was man heute in der Welt erfährt. Man erfährt alles gleichzeitig überall, wo man ist. Es spielt fast keine Rolle, wo Sie sind. Sie kann an jeder Stelle erfahren Sie eigentlich alles von der Welt. So Sie sagen, ja nur gut, also schön, gut. Ich glaube, da müssen wir irgendwie wieder etwas einen Weg, vielleicht, ich sage jetzt mal, zurückfinden. Ich weiß nicht, ob es ein Vorwärts ist, aber dieses Zurückfinden zur Wahrheit von einigen Wörtern, die man liebt, das möchte ich ist ein Denken von mir jetzt über Poesie. Was kann ich Ihnen heute noch erzählen? What could I tell you more? Sie wissen, die Leute, die Berlin kennen oder von Berlin schon gehört haben, das in Berlin ist ein Gedicht von mir an einer Wand mal angebracht worden, weil ich bekam dort einen Preis von der Schule. Und dieses Gedicht, das finden Sie auf der ersten Seite bei mir in diesem Buch, das ich genannt habe. Das heißt Spanisch und meine Muttersprache ist Spanisch. Auch wissen Sie meine Lieblingssprache, wie Französisch. Und das ist manchmal ganz gut, auch wenn man als deutscher Poet, in deutscher Umgebung lebt, als deutscher Poet wird und so weiter, dass man eine fremde Sprache benutzt, eine andere Sprache benutzt. Das gibt immer so eine schöne Distanz und hat etwas Neckisches vielleicht drin, etwas. Also, mein erstes Gedicht in diesem Buch heißt eben Avenidas. Avenidas y Flores. Flores, Flores y Mujeres. Avenidas, Avenidas y Mujeres. Avenidas y Flores y Mujeres y un Admirador. Und dieser Admirador, das ist eigentlich mein Zeichen. Ich glaube, ich bin ein Bewunderer, wo immer ich bin, wo immer ich mitmachen kann. Wenn es mir gefällt und so weiter, dann bewundere ich es. Also Dichter sein und Bewunderer sein, das ist ungefähr eines, das ist eine Person. Ich danke Ihnen für den Moment, ich bin weiterhin da. Dankeschön.